Hello server experts, and welcome to another edition of AMD Truth Squad. In the IT industry, purchasers have to sift through a lot of information to make buying decisions. One of the major jobs IT professionals face is separating the truth from the hype. This means weighing things you hear and putting them to the test with science. We're here to help by exploring one widely circulated assertion. Maybe this will sound familiar.
I love AMD processors, but I have a data center that's based on Intel processors. Everyone knows you can't move virtualized machines from an Intel-based server to an AMD-based server.
Is it true that AMD and Intel can't work together in the data center?
Now, this is something we hear a lot about today, and is somewhat of a misconception in the industry. Most of the time, people are referring to something called live migration, and when in fact there are many requirements for live migration, but there's also many instances where live migration is not a requirement. Something we call cold migration, and we're going to show you how not only can you move individual virtual machines between two different types of servers, but sometimes you can often do that with less resources and even quicker than you can with live migration.
All right, well, hold on a minute, because this show is about proving and demonstrating, and I've got to say, you seem really confident.
I'm pretty confident. We're going to show you today just exactly how you can do that.
Well, we'll see about that. Why don't you show us how to migrate VMs between an Intel-based system and an AMD-based system?
Let's do it. So we have two servers. We've got an Intel-based server sitting here. We've also got an AMD HP-based server that we're going to move the virtual machine from the Intel-based to AMD. And we've also got a clock that we're going to let you start to show exactly how long it's going to take to move this virtual machine from one server to the other.
Well, you mentioned virtualization. Are these servers running virtual machines, and what type of software?
They are running virtual machines. There's a virtual machine running on the Intel server that will actually move over to the AMD server, and we're using VMware vSphere 4 as the virtualization software component.
And for virtualization, we'll need a workload that we're going to move, right? Can you walk us through how this will work?
We're going to use a video as the workload. So the video is going to be running within the virtual machine. Now, typically, you wouldn't be running videos in an enterprise data center, but this is something that we can visualize and you can see. So that's why we chose that. And you'll see how the video will be running on one server, and then as we move that virtual machine over, you'll see it actually start up on the AMD server.
Well, that sounds great to me. Can we get started?
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right, so we have a video running. It's running on our Intel-based server, and what we're going to do is we're going to shut it down. We're going to move it over and point to it on the AMD server. You're going to see it come back up in a pretty good, we're going to say a pretty short time. So you can go ahead and start the clock.
Okay. Clock's running.
Here you can see basically the whole environment, the virtual machine being shut down on this server. And now he's selected migrate, and we're changing hosts. So it's a very simple process within VMware to do this. We're just going to point this to a different host, which means we're pointing the VM to the AMD-based server here. And he's going to start it up here pretty soon. There's the power and power it on.
Well, we're keeping an eye on the time here. How are we doing?
We're still under a minute.
Okay.
Still under a minute, so that's still pretty good, and we're already starting that environment up on the AMD system. Here you can see again, so we're preparing the desktop, which simply means the operating system is starting up on the virtual machine, and we're going to kick the video off right afterwards. And this all goes to show, that you can move these virtual machines between systems. We're completely compatible within the data center, with minimal downtime when you're moving between. And so there's a variety of uses for something like this. And here you go, you see the video already, and we're at about 1:40.
So, to recap, we migrated virtual machines from an Intel-based server to an AMD-based HP server using VMware. We suspended the VMs, turned off the system, and then powered it back on, all in under 2 minutes. It is possible to migrate from an Intel-based server to an AMD-based server. Looks like AMD and Intel can work together in the data center.